There are thousands of islands scattered across the Pacific Ocean, but very few have a story as extraordinary as this one. Imagine a place so remote that reaching it takes several days across open ocean. There is no airport waiting for arriving passengers, no cruise ships docking every morning, and no nearby city if you suddenly need help. Only a handful of supply ships visit each year, and fewer people live here than in a single apartment building in most major cities. At first glance, Pitcairn Island looks like paradise. Thick green forests cover steep volcanic hills, waves crash against dramatic cliffs, and the endless blue Pacific stretches to every horizon. It feels untouched, peaceful, and completely disconnected from the modern world. But hidden beneath this tropical beauty is one of history's most remarkable survival stories. The people who live here today aren't ordinary island settlers. Most of them can trace their family history back more than 2 centuries to a single group of men who became some of the most wanted people in the British Empire. They didn't arrive here searching for adventure or paradise. They came because they had nowhere else to run. That decision changed the island forever. Today, only around 40 people call Pitcairn home. Everyone knows everyone else. There are no traffic jams because there are barely any vehicles. There are no shopping malls, no airports, and no large supermarkets. Instead, life moves at a pace that disappeared from much of the world decades ago. But before we can understand how people live here today, we have to go back to one of the most famous events in maritime history. Long before Pitcairn became known around the world, it was little more than a tiny volcanic island hidden in the vast Pacific Ocean. It lies roughly halfway between New Zealand and South America, surrounded by thousands of miles of open sea. Even with modern navigation, reaching the island requires careful planning. For sailors in the 18th century, finding such an isolated place was incredibly difficult. Ironically, that isolation would become its greatest advantage. In 1787, the British Royal Navy launched a ship called HMS Bounty. Its mission sounded simple enough. The crew was ordered to sail to Tahiti, collect breadfruit plants, and transport them to the Caribbean, where the trees would provide cheap food for enslaved workers on British plantations. The journey itself was enormous. The ship crossed some of the world's most dangerous oceans before finally reaching Tahiti after nearly 10 months at sea. What was supposed to be a quick stop became a stay of several months while the breadfruit plants matured. For the crew, Tahiti felt like paradise. The climate was warm. Food was plentiful. Life moved slowly. Many sailors formed close relationships with local women and began imagining a future far away from strict naval discipline. Then came the order they had been dreading. It was time to leave. Captain William Bligh expected his crew to return to the harsh routine of naval life. But not everyone was willing to give up the life they had found in Tahiti. Among them was Fletcher Christian, one of the ship's officers. Only a few weeks after leaving the island, tensions reached their breaking point. Before sunrise on April 28, 1789, several crew members seized control of HMS Bounty. Captain Bligh and 18 loyal sailors were forced into a small open boat with only limited food and water. Against all odds, Bligh survived one of history's greatest open-sea voyages, navigating nearly 4,000 miles before reaching safety. His survival meant only one thing. The mutineers would now be hunted across the Pacific. They knew the British Navy would never stop searching for them. Finding a place to disappear became a matter of life and death. 4 months they searched the Pacific, looking for an island remote enough that no British ship would ever think to visit. Eventually they found exactly what they needed: Pitcairn Island. At the time, old navigation charts had placed the island several miles away from its actual location. That small mistake made it incredibly difficult to find, even if someone knew it existed. For the mutineers, it was the perfect hiding place. They landed on the island along with several Tahitian men and women, livestock, seeds, and everything they could salvage from the ship. Then they made a decision that would ensure there was no turning back. They burned HMS Bounty. Flames consumed the wooden ship until nothing remained except wreckage beneath the water. Without a ship, escape became impossible. But so did capture. For better or worse, Pitcairn had become their new home. Life on the island was nothing like the paradise they had imagined. The land was rugged and steep, with very little flat ground suitable for farming. There was no harbor where large ships could safely anchor. Fresh water had to be carefully managed, food supplies were limited, and every shelter had to be built from scratch. The first years were filled with hardship. Disagreements between the settlers quickly grew into violent conflicts. Resources were scarce, trust began to disappear, and relationships between the different groups became increasingly strained. Within only a few years, many of the original settlers had died. Some were killed during internal disputes. Others died from illness or accidents. At one point, only a single mutineer remained alive. His name was John Adams. Rather than allowing the settlement to collapse completely, Adams helped raise the surviving children and gradually rebuilt the tiny community. He taught reading, farming, practical skills, and Christian values, helping transform what had once been a desperate refuge into a functioning village. Those children eventually grew up, married, and started families of their own. Generation after generation remained on the island. More than 200 years later, many of today's residents can still trace their ancestry directly back to those first settlers. Walking through Pitcairn today feels unlike visiting almost anywhere else in the world. Family names repeat again and again because nearly everyone is connected in some way. Neighbors aren't simply friends, they're often cousins, uncles, grandparents, or distant relatives. That creates a community where everyone depends on one another. It also creates a lifestyle that feels completely different from life in modern cities. The island itself plays a huge role in shaping that lifestyle. Unlike tropical destinations with long sandy beaches, Pitcairn rises sharply from the Pacific Ocean. Towering cliffs protect much of its coastline, making it difficult for ships to approach safely. Dense green vegetation covers volcanic hills, while narrow roads wind through forests toward the island's only settlement. From almost every viewpoint, the Pacific Ocean stretches endlessly in every direction. There are no neighboring islands visible on the horizon. No city lights after sunset. No sound of airplanes overhead. Only the wind, the waves, and the songs of tropical birds breaking the silence. It is this extraordinary isolation that has protected Pitcairn for centuries. But it has also shaped every aspect of life for the small community that continues to call this forgotten island home. Living on Pitcairn means accepting one simple reality from the very beginning. Out here, convenience doesn't exist. Almost everything people living in large cities take for granted requires patience, planning, and cooperation. The island has only one small settlement called Adamstown. It isn't a town filled with busy streets, restaurants, or shopping centers. Instead, it feels more like an extended family living together in one neighborhood. Nearly every house sits within walking distance of another, and everyone recognizes every face they pass. Privacy exists, but anonymity doesn't. If someone's roof is damaged during a storm, neighbors usually know about it before sunset. If a family needs help harvesting fruit or repairing a vehicle, people don't wait to be asked. On Pitcairn, helping each other isn't considered kindness, it's simply part of life. Homes here are modest but comfortable. Most are built to withstand the island's humid tropical climate and occasional storms coming across the Pacific. Many families grow flowers, fruit trees, and vegetables around their homes, giving the village a peaceful appearance that feels more like a botanical garden than an isolated settlement. Modern technology has reached the island, but in a very different way than most places. Electricity powers homes, refrigerators, computers, and everyday appliances. Internet access allows residents to communicate with relatives overseas, follow world events, and even work remotely in some cases. But nobody expects lightning-fast connections or instant deliveries. Life moves according to the rhythm of the island rather than the speed of technology. Perhaps nowhere is this difference more noticeable than in the kitchen. Walking into a grocery store on Pitcairn is nothing like visiting a supermarket in Tokyo, London, or New York. Shelves are stocked with basic necessities, but choices are naturally limited. Fresh products depend entirely on the arrival of supply ships, and residents know that bad weather can delay deliveries for weeks. Because of this, self-sufficiency remains incredibly important. Almost every family grows at least some of its own food. Banana trees, papayas, mangoes, citrus fruits, breadfruit, coconuts, and sweet potatoes thrive in the island's fertile volcanic soil. Vegetable gardens provide tomatoes, pumpkins, beans, cucumbers, and leafy greens throughout much of the year. Fishing is equally important. Surrounded by the Pacific Ocean, residents have access to fresh seafood that many people elsewhere only find in expensive restaurants. Early in the morning, local fishermen head out into the clear blue water, returning with tuna, wahoo, snapper, and other fish that often become dinner the very same day. Nothing goes to waste. Fruit is preserved when harvests are abundant. Fish can be smoked or frozen. Rainwater is carefully collected and stored because fresh water is one of the island's most valuable resources. Living sustainably isn't a modern trend here. It's simply how generations have survived. Of course, the island cannot produce everything. Items like flour, cooking oil, medicine, fuel, batteries, building materials, and many packaged foods arrive by cargo ship. Unlike mainland communities that receive deliveries every day, Pitcairn depends on carefully planned shipments arriving only a few times each year. Imagine realizing you've forgotten to buy something important. You can't simply drive to another town. There isn't one. You can't order same-day delivery. There isn't one. Instead, people learn to plan weeks or even months ahead. That mindset shapes almost every part of island life. Employment follows the same pattern. No one moves to Pitcairn expecting skyscrapers filled with corporate offices. The economy is small but surprisingly diverse considering the island's tiny population. Many residents have more than one occupation. Someone might spend the morning maintaining public roads, the afternoon working on a farm, and the evening preparing handmade crafts for tourists or online buyers. Government services provide several jobs, ensuring roads, communications, public facilities, and community programs continue operating. Agriculture remains an important source of food rather than large-scale commercial income, while fishing continues supporting both families and local traditions. One product has brought Pitcairn unexpected international recognition: honey. The island's bees produce honey that has earned an excellent reputation for its purity and quality. Because Pitcairn has remained so isolated for centuries, its bee population has avoided many diseases affecting bees elsewhere in the world. As a result, Pitcairn honey has become one of the island's best-known exports. Collectors around the world also purchase Pitcairn postage stamps and commemorative coins. While these may seem like unusual sources of income, they help support the island's economy and connect this tiny community with people living thousands of miles away. Tourism plays a role as well, although not in the way many tropical islands experience it. There are no massive beach resorts or cruise terminals welcoming thousands of visitors every day. Instead, only a small number of travelers make the long journey each year, usually because they specifically want to experience one of the world's most remote communities. Many stay in family-operated guest houses where hosts personally introduce them to island life. Visitors hike through lush forests, explore historical sites connected to the HMS Bounty, swim in crystal-clear natural pools, and enjoy conversations with residents whose family histories stretch back more than 2 centuries. For most tourists, the greatest attraction isn't luxury. It's authenticity. Transportation remains the island's greatest challenge. Because Pitcairn has no airport, every visitor, every shipment, and almost every new arrival must come by sea. Large ships cannot dock directly against the island because the coastline is too steep and lacks a natural deep-water harbor. Instead, passengers often transfer into smaller longboats operated by experienced local crews. Watching these boats navigate powerful Pacific waves is an impressive sight. Generations of islanders have mastered these waters, developing skills that outsiders quickly learn to respect. Strong winds or rough seas can delay arrivals without warning. Sometimes supply ships remain offshore until conditions improve. Sometimes visitors wait days before they can safely land. Patience is simply part of island life. Within Adamstown itself, transportation is surprisingly simple. A network of narrow roads connects homes, public buildings, and farms. Many residents use quad bikes or small utility vehicles because they are practical for the island's steep terrain. Traffic jams are almost unheard of. The loudest sound on many mornings isn't a line of cars. It's birds singing through the trees. For people raised in crowded cities, the silence can feel almost unbelievable. But perhaps that silence explains why so many visitors fall in love with Pitcairn. Here, life isn't measured by deadlines, traffic, or endless notifications. It's measured by sunrise over the Pacific, neighbors greeting one another by name, children growing up surrounded by nature, and a community that still depends on trust more than convenience. For nearly every resident, that's a trade they're more than willing to make. As the years passed, Pitcairn slowly transformed from a refuge for fugitives into a quiet community with its own traditions, customs, and way of life. Although the island remained isolated from the rest of the world, its people never stopped adapting. Every generation found new ways to preserve their home while preparing the next generation for a future that would almost certainly be very different. Education is one of the clearest examples of that challenge. With such a small population, the number of children on the island changes from year to year. Sometimes only a handful of students attend the local school. Instead of large classrooms filled with dozens of children, lessons are often taught in very small groups, allowing teachers to give each student individual attention. Growing up on Pitcairn is unlike growing up almost anywhere else. Children spend much of their free time outdoors. They learn to fish, garden, repair equipment, and respect the sea from an early age. Instead of crowded playgrounds or busy shopping districts, their world is made up of forests, rocky coastlines, fruit trees, and neighbors who have known them since birth. Yet every family understands that opportunities become limited as children grow older. The island cannot provide universities, specialized training, or many professional careers. When teenagers finish their basic education, many eventually leave for New Zealand or other countries to continue studying. For parents, this is both a proud and painful moment. They want their children to have every opportunity possible, but they also know that once young people experience life in larger cities, many decide not to return permanently. This has become one of Pitcairn's greatest challenges. Each generation is smaller than the one before. The community grows older, and every family that leaves takes with it another piece of the island's future. Healthcare presents another reality of living so far from the rest of the world. Pitcairn has a medical center capable of handling routine illnesses, minor injuries, and regular health checkups. For everyday medical needs, residents receive care without leaving the island. But serious emergencies are a completely different story. If someone suffers a heart attack, a major accident, or requires specialized surgery, treatment cannot happen on Pitcairn. Instead, emergency plans swing into action. Depending on weather conditions and available transportation, patients must first leave the island by boat before continuing to larger medical facilities in places like French Polynesia or New Zealand. Sometimes the weather cooperates, sometimes it doesn't. That uncertainty has taught islanders something that many people elsewhere rarely think about. Prevention is often more valuable than treatment. People take care of one another because they know professional help may be days away. Despite these challenges, nature rewards those who choose to stay. The waters surrounding Pitcairn are among the clearest in the Pacific Ocean. Colorful coral reefs support an incredible variety of marine life. Schools of tropical fish move through the crystal-clear water while dolphins are frequently seen playing near boats. During certain times of the year, migrating whales pass through these waters, creating unforgettable moments for anyone lucky enough to witness them. Above the shoreline, the island is equally alive. Native birds nest among the cliffs and forests, many finding safety on this isolated island far from predators found elsewhere. Walking along the island's trails, it's common to hear birds long before you see them. The combination of ocean breeze, tropical vegetation, and complete silence creates an atmosphere that many visitors describe as almost unreal. Because Pitcairn is so isolated, protecting its environment has become extremely important. The surrounding waters are part of one of the world's largest fully protected marine reserves. This means commercial fishing and other activities are heavily restricted, allowing marine ecosystems to remain healthy for future generations. For the people living here, conservation isn't simply about protecting wildlife. It's about protecting their home. One of the most fascinating things visitors notice isn't the scenery. It's the language. Although English is the official language, many residents also speak Pitkern, a unique language that developed over generations from 18th century English mixed with Tahitian. Hearing islanders switch naturally between the two languages feels like listening to a living piece of history. Even family names tell the island's story. Names like Christian, Young, Brown, Warren, and Adams appear again and again, connecting modern residents directly to the first settlers who arrived more than 200 years ago. In most places, meeting someone with the same last name means there might be a distant connection. On Pitcairn, it often means you're actually related. That close family network shapes everyday life in ways outsiders quickly notice. Birthdays, community dinners, holiday celebrations, and public events involve nearly everyone on the island. Rather than organizing separate gatherings, the community often comes together as one. Christmas is especially meaningful. Instead of crowded shopping centers and endless traffic, families decorate their homes, prepare shared meals, exchange gifts, sing together, and celebrate with neighbors who feel more like extended relatives. The same spirit appears whenever someone faces hardship. If a storm damages a house, people help rebuild it. If someone becomes ill, neighbors check in regularly. If an elderly resident needs assistance, someone is always willing to lend a hand. Living on Pitcairn has created a level of cooperation that has become increasingly rare in much of the modern world. Of course, life isn't perfect. Isolation brings problems that cannot always be solved through teamwork alone. Imported goods remain expensive. Construction projects take longer because materials arrive by sea. Finding skilled workers can be difficult. Young adults continue leaving in search of broader opportunities. Perhaps the biggest question facing the island today is whether enough people will remain to keep the community alive for future generations. The government has even encouraged new residents to consider moving to Pitcairn, hoping fresh families and new businesses can help reverse decades of population decline. But relocating to one of the world's most isolated islands isn't a decision many people are willing to make. It requires resilience, patience, and a willingness to trade convenience for community. For those who choose that life, however, the rewards are difficult to measure. Imagine waking every morning to the sound of waves instead of traffic. Imagine knowing every neighbor by name. Imagine watching stars fill the sky without a single city light to block the view. On Pitcairn, those experiences aren't vacations. They're simply everyday life. Yet perhaps the island's greatest lesson has nothing to do with geography or history. It reminds us that a community doesn't need millions of people to thrive. Sometimes all it needs is trust, resilience, and a shared determination to protect a place that generations have proudly called home.